Here's what you're going to need in order to make your own polymer clay noses. For starters, you will need some gardening wire that I will tell you more about later as we go along. A pair of forceps. I'm really lucky in that I've got mountains of them because I have friends that are nurses and they're one use. So quite often these are used just to take bandages out of a packet and then thrown out or discarded. And then I have a pair of really cheap scissors, and I use those for cutting the wire because you seriously do not use your good scissors for this. And of course, polymer clay. Good morning. I am going to show you how to make a polymer clay nose. I'm about to make a beautiful little dragonfly bear, so I need a good nose. So the polymer clay I use, you can use Fimo, there is Sculpey, there is Ducat, there is all sorts of different ones, whatever suits you or whatever you can actually get hold of. I believe you can get them from most craft stores. We sell it here at Cotton Wool Creations. So the first thing you need to do is to make sure that you work the clay, as I call it. So if it breaks before you make it into a nose, it's going to break after you cure it in the oven. So really important that you get that done right and that you get it really, really soft. So it should stretch and not have any of those little breaks and pieces that you can see there. Really important that you get that done. So keep working it. It might take a little bit of time. Generally in the winter it takes longer. So it's winter here in Australia at the moment. I'm not sure where you're watching from. Tell me where you're watching from in the comments. The conditions here are quite cold, even though I'm in Western Australia, and you might not believe it, it's still really cold. So it does take longer. So as you can see, it's breaking. Sometimes I get a cup of tea and warm my hands. So the warmer your hands are, of course, the quicker that it is going to become where you can stretch it and it doesn't break, which is vital and important for when you are making a polymer clay nose. Okay, so now I get a piece of wire. So I just pick up the gardening wire because it is waterproof. Is waterproof the word I'm looking for? Prob's not. Anyway, I get it from Bunnings, which is a hardware store that we have here in Australia, and it comes, like, you get 75 meters. I don't think you'd even use that much in your lifetime, but it works really well for what we want to do. So then I don't ever cut the wire first. The first thing I do is I get my forceps, which I was showing you earlier, and I form the loop that I'm going to put into the back of the bear on the forceps. So as you can see, I am really bad at keeping things in camera. I hope that I get better. Then the loop is formed and it's small. I put it then in the forceps and I lock it. So the forceps, as you can see, have a locking portion here. So I keep it nice and tightly locked, and we don't remove the wire at all until the job is completely finished. And I now can't find my cheap scissors. Then we just cut the loop, and when we're ready, we pop that into the back of the nose. I've got the wire. I lost my scissors. You'll have to forgive me. And it is in the forceps. So again, we don't take it out of the forceps. The clay has worked really nicely. So now I'm just going to form a shape. So one of the easiest shapes to do is just to create a little circle. Get a pair of nice sharp scissors and you cut it in half. You end up with, then you can make two noses out of it. Then if you look at the top of my fingers, they've got kind of like a little bump. I actually form my noses around that because I can then shape it. It's got a little bit of roundness that can go around the back of the bear. So form a little bear shaped nose. And then I take the wire, pop it into the back of the nose. I try to put it into the palm of my hand and be as gentle as possible. Pop it into the back of the nose. And then I take it down to our nose oven and I cook it for 10 to 15 minutes, but it needs to be on a moderate heat. If the heat has been changed, and unfortunately sometimes typically me, forget to check that the temperature is the same and someone may have moved it, so the noses burn. So they don't burn and burn the place down. It's this really horrible chemical smell. So be sure to check that your temperature is very moderate, and it would be better to cook the noses twice than to have it too hot and for the noses to burn. So I'm going to go and pop this now in the nose oven, and I will be right back with you with the finished nose. So a couple of things to remember. This is like burning hot. So when you take the nose out of the oven, just be aware that the forceps will burn you. So a couple of the ladies get overexcited during class time, and I keep having to yell, don't take it out yet, just be careful. So it's really hot, so it stays hot as well for quite a while. So you need to wait till that cools down. In the toaster oven itself, I put a bathroom tile or kitchen tile, and on top of that I put a piece of baking paper, and I'm just looking at the baking paper I've got in that toaster oven up the back, and it actually needs to be changed because it's gotten all burnt and manky, as I call it. That actually prevents this from burning the polymer clay, because you have to remember that polymer clay is like a plastic. So I've had occasions where people have changed the dial on the nose oven, and you get this weird chemical smell, and that's because then I've not double checked, because like typically me, I haven't double checked the timer or the temperature that it's on, and of course they burn. So be careful of the temperature. It's a very moderate temperature that you need to have it on. The kitchen tile and kitchen paper stop it from burning anyway. So if you haven't got a toaster oven, and they are actually quite hard to find now because all of the products we have now are much more updated, you can use a skillet on low as well to cook noses, but what I would recommend is you put a piece of like stuffing, I guess, like your polyester stuffing to put the noses on in the skillet, and you pop the lid on, and you can do them in skillets. But if you can find a little toaster oven, I don't recommend that you cook your noses in the same oven that you are preparing food. So I would never do that. I try not to do that because it's plastic and you don't want that going through your cooked food. So with that in mind, I'm just going to wait for this to cool down for a few minutes, and then I'm going to show you what you need to do with the hook in the back. So the forceps have cooled down nicely, and I can hold them without burning my fingers. So next, what you need to do, and you never ever take the wire out of the forceps until the job is completely done. So I take the wire, pull it out, and pop it over on its side that way. The reason I do that is so that when I pick it up and put it back, it goes in exactly the same place it's meant to go. So pop it down like that, a little bit of super glue, and you'll have seen the video I've done before on the dangers of super glue. You really want to be very sparing, but you do need to glue this wire back in, otherwise it won't stay. So I just pop it back into the hole, make sure I've got it right, pop it back into the hole so it's back in there nice and tight. That doesn't actually feel like it is, but it is. Then I leave it to set. Now 24 hours is probably the best timing, but I am the most impatient person in the world, so sometimes I don't always wait for it to cure. But if you can, pop it to one side for 24 hours. If you put it to one side and let that glue really set strong, that's great. Another warning, super glue has warnings all over it. You don't want to be putting it near your bears under any circumstances. So this needs to be completely dry. There have been disasters. I have had to fix many disasters during class, but as I've said in a previous video, be very, very careful about super glue. So we put in a nose the same way as we put in eyes, which I've got in an earlier video, but I'll probably redo again. So I've got a really good strong thread, and the loop that I've prepared in the other parts of the video, and I've actually coated this one with a bit of clear nail polish. The two loose ends go through the formed shank, and then you pull those ends through. Okay, then a nice long doll needle, and I put it just where I want the nose to live and come out as close as you can get it to that central disc. Then thread the needle with the two loose ends, like so. There we go. I have to forgive my eyesight this morning's not the best, but there you go. Did I get them both in? No. Sometimes it's easier to fold it and put it through. No, it really doesn't want to go today. There we go. And then I'm just going to pull that. Oh, it didn't go. Oh my goodness. Well, you can certainly tell that I'm doing this live. There we go. And I'm just going to pull that through and take the needle out and straighten up those bits. So then taking a tapered awl, so this is the tapered awl I use, and make the hole bigger. And this looks brutal. I know, it looks really, really brutal. And then make that hole bigger. And then ease that shank in. Again, making sure, like with eyes, that that goes in properly. And I like where that's sitting. That's cute. Coming down to the bottom, I normally use a smaller needle and thread just one of the threads, but you need to scoop up a bit of the fabric as well, so you've got something to tie around. Rethread the one thread. Oh wow, what a day. I'm not there you go, the one thread. And then we're going to do two loose knots, just so that if I need to undo it I still can. So go over once and then again, because that knot will tie up and not fall apart until I've just made doubly sure that I like the nose position. It also helps me pull it up a bit tighter. Make sure I've got it in the position I like. Yep. And then when I've done that, I believe there's a name for this knot. I have a friend who's a Girl Guide leader and she has told me what it is, but I keep forgetting. And then so right over left, left over right. So you probably, if you know the name of the knot, you can help me out there. Then I'm going to rethread the needle. And at this point, sometimes because it's been overly threaded over and over, I cut the end sharp again. Rethread that needle. Wow, today is not a needle threading day at all. There we go. No, missed it. Oh my goodness. And those ends are fluffy again. Wow. Go in. Some days things just don't go the way you plan. There we go. And then I pull it through and I pull one length of thread, then the other, and generally you can hear like a little click like that, and that means the knot's gone inside. And there she is with her nose. So hopefully that's helpful, and I'll show you the finished bear when she's all done. So here she is, all finished, nose in place, sitting on her box, and so yep, all ready with her beautiful little dragonfly wings. But yeah, as promised, the finished article and her little shiny nose ready for a new home, I suppose. Thank you.